Hey guys, how are we getting on today? So today we're here with an expert in nutrition and health, Mr. Dave O'Leary.
Hi guys.
So it's exciting to have him on board, sharing his wisdom and tips all in around nutrition. So Dave, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I suppose let's take a bit of a step back, and if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, what was life like for you as a teenager?
Yeah, no problem. So I suppose, guys, life for me as a teenager was a little bit awkward. When I was growing up, I was never into fitness. I was not into nutrition by any means. I had a really poor diet. I was the kind of teenager that would get out of bed in the morning on my day off from school, and I'd go downstairs looking for like chips and curry for breakfast. Like complete opposite to the way I am now.
Tasty.
Tasty, but doesn't really do you a whole pile of benefit in the long run. I was just that way inclined. I was a bit of a carboholic. I always wanted chips. I always wanted pizza. I always wanted biscuits, and
You're someone that was kind of always hungry all the time as well.
constant. It was almost like there was like a little demon on my shoulder, constantly whispering to me, "Eat, eat, eat." I could just not control my hunger. So
Was there something that you felt that kind of triggered that?
from I suppose thinking back, I didn't think I was at the time, but I came out to my parents as gay when I was about 19, 20. But I suppose maybe 2 years leading up to that, I probably had, a lot of
Stress and anxiety.
stress and anxiety around it, but definitely kind of a bit of a mental change in state,
Yeah.
It's kind of weird for someone to be brought up in a way thinking, men should like women, women should like men, to then feel a little bit different around that and not being able to, I suppose, process those thoughts. So I suppose thinking back now, I think I probably did do a lot of maybe say like eating my own feelings towards that.
Yeah.
At the time I didn't realize what it was. I just thought I was like the chubby guy in school who just loves eating food. But that weight I suppose I gained didn't really kind of come on until my kind of late teenage kind of years. Which kind of brought me to I suppose a concern of my own health. I realized I gained a lot of weight and I knew I needed to do something about it. So, I suppose thinking back, it really was kind of really before the time of like the internet sensation where you could hop online and find, tips and tricks around everything. I mean, this now, don't want to show my age too much, but it was about 11 years ago. So I knew I needed to do something about it. So I found the route of study, just go in, study it, learn more about nutrition, apply it to myself. So I went and studied for a year when I was 18 in Stefan Nefa. I studied biology, food science and nutrition, which I think that course is actually even still available. I think they're still running it. So I went and did it for a year and got even fatter, gained more weight. So I thought there's something wrong here. Either I didn't pay attention in class, which again, thinking back was probably a high possibility. Or I wasn't, I suppose, applying the information I learned correctly to myself. So thankfully I got a job out of college and I started working in a health store. And I was about 19 at this stage because the course was about a year long. And I started working my first ever, I suppose, manager in the career that I ended up seeking out. And I had this really bad habit, even after studying that nutrition for a year, where I used to not start work till 11 o'clock. And Jesus, she sees us now, she'll laugh at me. I used to go into work early and go into Subway and get a foot-long sub with your bottle of like fizzy drink that comes with it and your bag of potato. That was like before 11, because that's when I used to start work. So I used to come in with it, go upstairs, eat that. And you'd be working away for 2 or 3 hours, get sent on your break, like out for your break, back over to Subway, another foot-long sub, and then fizzy drink, or sometimes it might have been a bottle of water at that stage. And if I had the crisps with my earlier one, it would be a cookie with my later one. And just like no need for it really, but I did it. And one day she had, because obviously I gained even more weight as I was working there, and I was in a health store. I was in an environment where it should have been nourishing to the body, but I wasn't treating myself that way. And she said to me one day, kind of really pointed out the weight I had gained, but in a very kind of blunt manner. Now I know not everyone responds very well to kind of that kind of
Being told you're overweight or
not everyone will take it very well on the spot. But I am that kind of person where if someone says something to me, I really will take it on the, on the chin and kind of, consider what that person's saying. It's just the way I am. So went home and kind of looked at myself really, in the mirror with my top off, and I thought, Jesus, I've, probably like gotten to the heaviest I've been, which at the time was about 16 and a half stone. To most that might not sound like a lot of weight, but I'm only 5'7". I'm a pretty short guy. I could not carry that off. So that kind of really resonated with me, that like my health and my kind of state of well-being was not okay. Like something had to change. To be 19 and to be, carrying that kind of weight on your body was just not good.
So do you think it was a positive thing that she actually pulled you and said that to you one day?
Yeah, I think so. Probably could have said it in a softer way. But in a way, I'm kind of glad that it came across the way it did, because I took her words seriously and I done something about it. And up until then, no one ever really said anything to me about my weight. Never really made me feel like I needed to change. So she really kind of set me off on this path of, okay, I need to improve. I need to do better.
And you obviously had the knowledge behind you of what you should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, from that course I done, it was very much a basic understanding, which is probably more than what the general populace had at that time. I had a very basic working knowledge of nutrition. So I applied a little bit of what I learned, and after 5 weeks of, say, trying to form more of a balanced lifestyle, I lost 1 stone in weight.
Okay.
Which was great. I was delighted.
So you just made little changes.
My changes starting out really were, all right, I thought the sandwich from Subway was a good idea, but eating 2-foot-long sandwiches a day was not. So I cut those out. And that was like my first like attempt at a change, is like cut out those 2 sandwiches, bring in your own lunch. There's no need to eat, 2 Subways a day. And that brought me to the 1 stone, and it was just like an instant plateau. So I got to where I was, and that was it. And then I realized again, okay, well, more's got to change. I'm obviously not doing enough. I was at that kind of weight then for, a couple of months. More needs to happen to kind of bring me forward again, So that's kind of where I was stuck then for a while. I had a basic knowledge, not a very in-depth one. Didn't really know where to go or who to turn to for kind of help. It was very much I had to try and help myself in this matter, because, my parents never grew up studying nutrition. I suppose the knowledge that we have now wasn't around back then, so it had to be self-interest. You had to learn to be able to
you
couldn't
just jump on YouTube and find what you wanted to find, or ask questions or anything like that.
I don't even think we had like internet in the house at that stage.
No, I think that's brilliant, because it's obviously going to be, especially around teenagers, there's going to be a lot of people that are overweight, and maybe someone won't reach out to them, and even like their parents or whatever, they mightn't ever pull them aside and say, maybe we might have to change a couple of things here, because it's not just about having the weight on, but that's obviously going to affect their emotions, how they actually feel about themselves, their own self-love against themselves. And like normally, like coming across clients with the personal training stuff, they come across people and you see that they're overweight, and they'll find it really hard to change their eating habits because they've lost connection with themselves. They feel like they have to keep doing it, because if they lose weight, they're going to start feeling better about themselves. But they have this barrier that's stopping them from moving into that place. So even if someone is watching this now and someone isn't telling you, I think it's really important that you can actually connect with yourself and ask yourself, are you happy with the way you are, or do you need to change? No, you don't have to change. Again, it's completely up to you, but it's about you just connecting with yourself and just asking yourself that question, are you happy with yourself? And if you're not, then it's okay to start making changes. It's okay to start asking people for help, or looking in a direction that could help you. So no, that's brilliant. Thanks for sharing all that.
No worries. I think what you've mentioned there as well, not everyone will be put in that situation where you will have someone, who you would, I suppose, call a friend, be able to, pull you back and say, I think you need to change. I think you have a bit of an issue and this, that, and the other. I would say a lot of people would be afraid to actually call someone on things, because you don't want to upset them. You don't want to hurt their feelings, and no one wants to be nasty to somebody else, I took it on the chin and moved on from it. I know other people could get caught in it and it could make their situation worse. So I suppose it's just, finding a connection strong enough with someone so that you can actually set them aside, and I suppose in a loving manner, to be able to support them and say, I think we have a problem here, and not send them down an even darker path, bring them more towards a healthier lifestyle,
And I suppose it's not just about that appearance and the way people feel, but it's about long-term health at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That there's so many people, especially young people, developing disease in the body now.
So childhood obesity is rampant in Ireland now, which is just crazy that like you could have a state, relatively small population, but with such a high percentage of obesity in kids, when we shouldn't be in that statistic really.
And why would you say that it's important for especially younger people, teenagers, to start eating healthier?
There's just so many reasons to do it. Eating healthy will give you, obviously, we have mentioned, you're going to get more energy if you eat a balanced diet. It's going to be better on your body long term. No child should be carrying around excess of weight. It's going to be bad on their joints as they try to grow. It's going to interfere with any hormonal changes will be happening when they get to that teenage stage.
Yeah.
And that's already going to be bad enough if you've had any cranky teenagers in the house. I'm sure parents will agree. Their skin is going to be quite bad if they've got a bad diet, all that, even in combination. If they're carrying weight, they have bad skin, their energy is poor, they're grumpy, they're just not going to feel good about themselves, which again all just has a knock-on effect on their mental state. You want a child to be happy, healthy, energetic, be able to take on everything life has to offer to them, and not be stuck indoors feeling low, knowing they're overweight, not happy with their body image, and just hating themselves. I think there's just so many reasons to eat healthy and to kind of get onto that track.
Yeah. And would you believe that as well, that processed foods and I suppose foods that aren't real can I suppose relate to disease, cancer, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I suppose I try to tend to follow a whole food diet as best possible. But processed food is just that, it's processed. They've usually got either a hydrogenated fat or a trans fat inside that can be quite difficult for a lot of people to digest. They're usually completely void of nutrients, so they're not going to give your body the vitamin C or the vitamin D that it needs for immune function, or B vitamins for energy. They're void of nutritional value. All they are is calories, just actual sugar, energy, but not actual nutrition. They're two very different things. So I find eating a whole food diet will give you both. You get your calories, but you also get your micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals, your essential fatty acids. Processed food doesn't give you that.
Yeah.
It literally just gives you the calorific value, but no nutrients to actually nourish your body. So I think it is important to get a balance. We all like a bit of processed food every now and then, but it's just not basing your whole diet around eating processed food.
Isn't it true as well around having more nutrient-rich foods is going to be higher in antioxidants, phytonutrients, all your vitamins and minerals, aren't they basically the building blocks for your cells, so that your cells can function a lot better?
Yeah. At a cellular level, your body needs essential fatty acids to function. So you need that polyunsaturated fats, your omega-3s. If your cells don't have that, they don't function very well. Your cells also need a whole host of nutrients to create energy. And again, without that, you're not going to feel very good. So whole foods very much give you that. They give you your antioxidants that will combat free radicals, which are basically like toxins that build up in the body. Very much will build up if you have a diet high in processed food. But not just that. I mean, athletes need higher levels of antioxidants because they're creating more free radical damage from exercise. So